Today, more anti-spruking on the Gold Coast. Hello again, it's Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics, where I'm the latest post covering finance and property news with a distinctively Australian flavour. And just a quick word of advice to say that Edwin and I will not be ranting today. Unfortunately, Edwin is ill. So that's given me the chance to walk through some more recent price reductions from Cookie Boy. And this time we're going to look at the Gold Coast again, because prices are falling, of course, quite quickly now. And indeed, the latest data from CoreLogic out today showed that, in fact, Brisbane prices are sliding faster than in some other parts of the country now, which is something that we're also seeing in our latest analysis. As always, we compare the portal information, which is not really a scientifically selected property set, but just those that are available, and compare them with the data from my core market model, which includes information about the property sector in that area from my surveys and also from the census data. And by the way, if you want to go into this in more detail, join us tomorrow evening for our Tuesday live, which will be all about mortgage stress and our core market model and what's going on. So the first one is postcode 4209, Coomera Waters. And this is a house on 975 squares. It's 5 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2 cars, listed 87 days ago on the 8th of July 2022. And it was originally on at 1.075 million. Now, on the 5th of August, it's on at $995,000. And if we look at the data in that particular postcode, we can see that there are about 24,000 households in that postcode. Just 8% own outright, 42% are borrowing, and 48% are renting. And looking at the scenarios at the moment, the best case scenario for houses is a small positive increase over the next 3 years, 1.7%, but the base case, which assumes a higher level of interest rates and not recession in Australia, but a recession overseas potentially, down about 20%. The worst case scenario, which includes higher interest rates and a recession in Australia, would see prices fall about 40% over the next 3 years. Now, in this particular postcode, there are 79% houses, according to the census data, 0.7% of units, and 20% of other types, including in commercial buildings and also over shops. People ratio is 2.91%. The vacancy rate was 4.2%, or just over 1,000 properties, and the gross investment yield is 4.6%, which is actually reasonably high. Net investment yield 1.3%. The ATO reported individual taxable income in the year 2021 was $69,000, and the household census information showed that the total gross income per household is just over $100,000. Looking at the disposable monthly income, a typical household has just over $6,300 available. And if you're borrowing in that particular postcode on average, 36.7% of your income, or $2,300, are going to pay the mortgage. And if you're renting, 34.7%, or $2,200, are paying the rent. That explains why mortgage stress is reasonably high at 31%, and rental stress is extremely high at 71%, and overall 58% of households are in financial stress in this postcode. Now, if we go back to look at another property in the same area, this was listed 79 days ago on the 15th of July. It's a house on 932 square metres, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 3 cars. And on the 28th of July, it was on at 1.599 million. On the 11th of September, it was reduced to 1.395 million. And another one, again in the same area, listed 47 days ago on the 16th of August. It's a house on 608 squares, and it was 5 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 4 cars. On the 30th of August, it was on at $1.9 million. Now on the 30th of September, it's on at $1.69 million. Now we're going to look at postcode 4210, And this property in Oxenford is a house on 791 squares, 5 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2 cars. And originally it was on at offers over $999,000. It was reduced a few times, 975, 945, and now it's offers over $880,000. And if I look at this particular postcode, there are around 7,700 households in the postcode, 17% are owning outright, 62% are borrowing, and 20% are renting, and 30% are in mortgage stress, 88% of renters are in rental stress, and the overall financial stress metric at 42% is reasonably high. From a scenario perspective, prices in the best case scenario for houses might be just a couple of percent up over the next 3 years, but the base case is a fall of 20% plus, and the worst case 40% plus. Looking at the property profiles, 83% of properties are houses, 0.5% are units, and 16% are other types of property. The people ratio is 2.87%, and the vacancy rate was 4.1%. 314 properties were vacant, reportedly so, on census night. The gross investment yield typically is 4.7%, and the net investment yield is at 1.4%. Now we'll go back to postcode 4211, Pacific Pines, and this is a house on 740 squares, 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2 cars, listed 55 days ago on the 9th of August. On the 2nd of September, it was listed at $1.089 million. Now on the 18th of September, it's down to $999,000. And looking at this particular postcode, there were about 23,500 households there, 22% own outright, 49% are borrowing, 27% are renting. And borrowers in mortgage stress about 11%, but renters in stress at 89% is very high. And looking at the scenarios over the next 3 years, the best case scenario would be a price rise of about 4% over 3 years, the base case a fall of just under 20%, and a worst case scenario just under 40%. The property profile shows that 69% are houses, 7.2% are units, and 23% are other types of property. The population ratio is 2.56%, and the vacancy rate at 4.7% was just over 1,000 properties on census night. Typical gross investment yield is about 4.6%, the net investment yield about 1.2%. The average taxable income was around $69,500, and the average household income for the year was $89,808, and that translates to a disposable monthly income of around $5,462. And a typical mortgage payer is paying about 41.9% or $2,288 on their mortgage. Typical renter is paying 39.2% or $2,142 on their rental. Now we're going to look at 4212 Hope Island. This is a house on 607 squares, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2 cars. Gross rental yield is reported at 3.67%. It was listed 69 days ago on the 26th of July. On the 28th of July, it was on at 1.5 million. Now it's on at 1.35 million, offers over on the 18th of August. And looking at 4212, we can see there are around 12,600 households there, 33% own outright, 43% borrowing, 23% renting. 24% of those borrowing are in mortgage stress, and 70% of renters are in rental stress. The overall financial stress metric is a little lower than some other postcodes we've looked at. From a scenario perspective, we could see a 4 to 5% growth rate over the next 3 years, best case scenario, a fall of about 18% for a base case, and the worst case down 38%. Looking at the property profile, 71% are houses, 10% are units, 18% are other types of property, and the people ratio is 2.41%. 8.1% of properties were vacant on census night, just over 1,000, and the gross investment yield typically around 4.7%, the net investment yield about 1.2%. Looking at the taxable income from the ATO, about $89,000, and the household census reported household income typically just over $100,000 per annum, and disposable monthly income around $6,426 a month. 40% typically going on the average mortgage, just over $2,600, and 40.7% going on the typical rent at $2,616. Here's another property in the same postcode, again on Hope Island, a house, 610 squares, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 4 cars. And this was originally on at 1.45 million plus, then reduced to 1.45 million, then 1.35 million plus, then 1.35 million or thereabouts, and now it's on at 1.25 million plus. Now we'll go to postcode 4213, and this is a house listed 49 days ago on the 15th of August, 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 5 cars, on 5,050 squares. On the 16th of August, it was at 1.4 million offers above. Now its offers over $1.2 million on the 26th of August. And looking at postcode 4213, we can see that there are around 10,000 households, 25% own outright, 56% are borrowing, and 17.4% are renting. 16.5% are in mortgage stress, but 66% of renters are in rental stress. And overall, households in financial stress is somewhat lower than some others we've looked at. Over the next 3 years, best case scenario would be growth of around 7% cumulative. For the best case, the base case would be a fall of about 16%, and the worst case, a fall of 35%. From a property profile perspective, 87% are houses, very small number of units, but 12.2% are other types of property, including overshops and other commercial premises. The people ratio is 2.86%, and 3.9% or 406 properties were vacant on census night. And the gross investment yield, again, is around 4.7%. The net investment yield is about 1.3%. The average taxable income for the ATO is $77,000, and for the census data, the average household income is just over $106,000. The monthly disposal income is around $6,380. The typical mortgage repayment is around $2,520, or 39.5% of income, and the typical rent is around $2,492 a month, or 39.1% of income. Now we're going to look at postcode 4214, Ashmore. This is a house on 785 squares, 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 4 cars. Listed 46 days ago on the 17th of August. It's 785 squares. On the 2nd of September, it was at $1.399 million. And now on the 7th of September, it's on at 1.3 million, offers over. And looking at the postcode, 14,000 households there, 27% own outright, 43% are borrowing, 29% are renting. Mortgage stress is at 13%, rental stress is 77%. And looking at the scenarios, best case scenario for houses, about 4% over 3 years. The base case, a fall of 19%, the worst case, a fall of 39%. 79% of properties are houses, 4% are units, and 16% are other types of property. And the people ratio is 2.6%. On census night, 4.8% or 666 properties were reported vacant. Gross investment yield is 4.6% and the net investment yield 1.2%. Now we're going to postcode 4216, South Stradbroke. This is a house on 816 squares, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2 cars, listed 61 days ago on the 2nd of August. On the 3rd of August, it was at $1.695 million. On the 23rd of September, it was on at $1.5 million. And looking at the data, 17,000 households, of which 37% own outright, 30% are borrowing, 31% are renting. 42% of those with a mortgage are in mortgage stress, so that's now flagged as a concern. And 76% of renters are in rental stress, so overall financial stress is pretty severe. As a result of that, we, in the best case scenario, see a small fall over the next 3 years. Base case is a more significant fall of more than 20%, and the worst case is a fall of more than 40%. There are around 42% of properties in the area as houses, and 26% are units, 30% are other types of property, including over commercial premises and shops. The population ratio is 1.96%, and the vacancy rate was very high at 9.7% on census night, 1,821. That could be a large number of second homes possibly. Gross investment yield is about 4.7% and net investment yield 1.1%. The average taxable income is about $82,000 from the ATO, and the average household information from the census is around $70,000. Looking at disposable monthly income, it's typically around $4,353 a month, and the average borrower is paying 49% of their income, or $2,160 a month on the mortgage, and the typical renters paying 49.2% or $2,142 a month. Here's another property in the same postcode, this time at Runaway Bay. It's a house on just over 1,000 square metres, 6 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, 6 car spaces, and it was listed 41 days ago on the 22nd of August. On the 23rd of August, it was on at $1.795 million. On the 16th of September, it was on at $1.595 million. And another one in the same area, this time Holywell. It's a house listed 59 days ago on the 5th of August, 664 squares, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2 cars. And on the 16th of August, it was on at $1.75 million. But on the 6th of September, it was reduced to $1.6 million. Now we'll go to postcode 4217. And here we see a house on 936 squares, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2 cars. It was listed 102 days ago with offers over $1,850,000. And then it was reduced to $1.7 million. And the story there is that that was on the 17th of August, and it's still hanging around. And looking at postcode 4217, there's 19,500 households, 30% are owning outright, 26% are borrowing, and 42% are renting. Mortgage stress is at 18.5%, but rental stress is at 68%. We have a lot of stressed investors, and half the households are actually registering in financial stress. From a scenario perspective, the best case over the next 3 years is a small rise of 2.5%, but the base case is a fall of 20%, the worst case a fall of 40%. There are 24% properties that are houses, 61% are units in this area, and 13% are other types of property. The people ratio is 1.55, and the vacancy rate was a massive 27.5% at just over 7,000, which would suggest probably a considerable number of holiday homes. Gross investment yield 4.5%, net investment yield 1.1%. The average taxable income is around $85,000 and the average household income around $76,000. Monthly disposable income around $4,840. The typical mortgage holder is paying 48.3% of their income, $2,340 a month. And the typical renter is paying about 45% of their income at $2,178 a month. Now here's another one in the same postcode, and this is at Sorrento. That's a house on 507 squares, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2 cars, listed 104 days ago on the 21st of June, and on the 15th of July it was on at $1.399 million. On the 24th of August, reduced to $1.299 million. Now we'll go to postcode 4218, Mermaid Waters. This is a house, 943 squares, 6 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, 2 cars, and originally 81 days ago it was offers over $2.35 million. Then it was reduced to $2.15 million, having been under offer and then dropped off. And now it's on at $1.93 to $2 million. Looking at 4218, there are about 15,000 households in the postcode, 30% own outright, 32% borrow, 36% rent. Mortgage stress is at 12%, but rental stress is very high at 69%. And the overall financial stress is at 42%. The scenario over the next 3 years, best case is a rise of just about 4%, base case a little under 20%, the worst case a little under 39%. And looking at the property profiles, 41% are houses, 40% are units, and 70% are other types. The population ratio is 1.78%, and the vacancy rate is very high at 21.5%, or 3,892. So one would suggest, again, this is likely to be holiday accommodation. Gross investment yield is 4.6%. Net investment yield is 1%. Looking at the income, average ATO is $87,000. The average household census was $91,000. Disposable monthly income $5,700. And typically 42% or $2,470 a month go on the mortgage, or 38.9% or $2,243 go on the average rent. Now we're going to 4220, and here we have a house with a gross rental yield of 2.96%, listed 61 days ago on the 2nd of August. It's on 405 square metres with 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2 cars. And on the 19th of August, it was on at $1.595 million. Now on the 25th of September, it's on at $1.495 million. And looking at 4220, we find 13,400 households there, 32% own outright, 38% are borrowing, 29% are renting, 27% of those borrowing are in mortgage stress, 67% are in rental stress, and overall financial stress is around 40%. From a best case scenario perspective, we might see a 4% rise over the next 3 years. The base case is a fall of 19%, and the worst case close to 40%. Half of the properties are houses in the postcode, 25% are units, and 23% other types of property, and the people ratio is 2.07. There was a vacancy rate of 12.7%, or 1,850 properties on census night. Gross investment yields 4.7 on average, and the net investment yield 1.2. Typical average taxable income $79,000. The typical household income is $90,000 according to the census. Disposable monthly income is around $5,600 a month, and a typical mortgage borrower is paying 42% of their income, or $2,434 a month, whereas the typical renter is paying around 42% of their income, or $2,392. Here's another one in the same postcode, Burleigh Heads, 4220. 19th of July it was listed, that's 76 days ago. It's a house, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1 car. On the 14th of August it was on at $1.815 million. On the 12th of September it was offers over $1.69 million. Here's another one, and this was listed 39 days ago. It's a house, $1.161 million, 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2 cars. And it was on the 13th of September on at $1.499 million. And it's now saying contract crashed, urgent sale, as at the 30th of September. We actually don't have a new indicative price. Here's another one, listed 147 days ago on the 9th of May. The gross rental yields 5.02%. It's a house on 679 squares, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 5 cars. On 26th of May, it was on at $1.349 million. On the 24th of July, it was on at $1.299 million. Same postcode, Burleigh Waters again, a house on 436 squares, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2 cars. This was listed 158 days ago, initially as an expression of interest. Then it was on at $2.95 million. Then it was offers on $2.5 million. Then present all offers. Then it was at 2.250, and now it's at 2.150. And now we'll get a postcode 4211. This was listed 20 days ago on the 13th of September. It's a house. Gross rental yield is 3.22%. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2 car spaces on 448 squares. It was on the 13th of September. It was on at $1.4 million. On the 21st of September, it was on at $1.295 million. Looking at this particular postcode, 11,600 households, 30% owning outright, 40% borrowing, 29% renting. Not very many people in mortgage stress, but 66% in rental stress. And it's also worth highlighting that the scenarios ahead would be about 8% over 3 years on the best case, but a fall of 15% base case, or 36% worst case. 56% of properties are houses, 24% are units, 19% other types. The people ratio is 2.19%. The vacancy rate is 11.1%, or 1,373 properties. And the gross investment yield typically is around 4.6%, net investment yield 1.4%. The average taxable income is about $76,000. The average household income, $89,000. And the average disposable monthly income is around $5,642 a month. And the typical borrower is paying about 44% of their income, or $2,520 a month, on the mortgage. And the typical renter is paying around 39%, or $2,243 a month, on their rent. Now we'll go to postcode 4224. And this is a house on 493 square metres, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1 car. Offers over $2 million now. Now, 286 days ago, it was passed in at auction, and then it was re-auctioned. It was actually on the market then at offers over $3.3 million. Then it was contact agent. Then it was offers over $2.5 million. And now it's offers over $2 million. Now, looking at 4224, we can see there's just a small number of households, 2,800, 26% own outright, 43% of borrowing, 30% of renting. There's no information about mortgage stress, but 63% of renters are in rental stress. Our estimation is that over the next 3 years, we could see prices rise by about 8%, best case, 60% full, base case, 35% worst case. 6% of properties are houses, 22.9% of units, and 30% are other types of property. And the people ratio is 2.11%, 12.8% of vacant on census night, or 393, so that may well be holiday related. 4.6% gross investment yield, 0.7% net investment yield. Typical average ATO income, $75,800, and the average household income around $90,000. The disposable monthly income is around $5,667, and 41% going on the average mortgage, $2,340 a month, whereas the average rent's around 40.4%, or $2,292 a month. Now we're going to 4226, and here we have a property listed 11 days ago with a very weird gross rental yield. I don't believe it. The house was on 688 squares, 4 bedroom, 2 bathroom, 2 cars, and it was listed originally at $1.6 million, offers considered, 23rd of September. The 1st of October reduced to offers over $1.49 million. So looking at 4226, there are about 14,400 households there, 28% owning outright, 38% borrowing, 30% renting. 26.7% are in mortgage stress, whereas 64% of renters are in rental stress. And that translates to a best case scenario of about 4% over the next 3 years cumulative, the base case around 19% full, the worst case about 39% full. From a property profile perspective, 54% are houses, 12.7% are units, and 32% other types of property. Population ratios 2.42%, and vacancies 5%, or 708 on census night. Gross investment yield typically 4.5%, net investment yield 0.9%, and the average taxable income from the ATO about $73,000, whereas the average household income is about $89,000. The monthly disposable income is around $5,600, and typically 41.4%, or just over $2,340 a month, go on the mortgage. Typical renters paying about 45.8% of their income, or $2,591. Here's another one in the same postcode. Massive price reduction, offers over $1.959 million. It's a house on 834 squares, 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 5 cars. It was originally price guided at $2.25 to $2.4 million. It was then presenting offers, presenting all offers. The owner must meet the market, will be sold. Massive price reduction, over $1.959 million. Then we look at 4227, and here we see listed 82 days ago on the 13th of July a house on 949 squares, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 3 cars. On the 15th of July it was at $1.095 million. On the 9th of August it was on at $995,000. And looking at the postcode, 9,000 households there, 18% own outright, 42% are borrowing, and 37% are renting. 42% are in mortgage stress, 46% are in rental stress, and the overall financial stress metric is 45%. We see a scenario, maybe 4% over the next 3 years, best case, but a fall of 18% base case, and the worst case, a fall of 38%. Looking at the property profiles, 50% are houses, 17.6% are units, and 32.3% are other types of property. People ratios, 2.52%. Vacancy rate of 4.4% on census data 390, and the gross investment yield is 4.6, compared with a net investment yield of 1%. Typical ATO income from a taxable income perspective is $72,000, whereas the average income from the census for the household is $93,000. Typical monthly disposable income is $5,755 a month. 40% going on the average mortgage, $2,340 a month. 42% going on the average rent at $2,417 a month. Here's another one in the same postcode, Varsity Lakes. This was on the 18th of August, 46 days ago. Gross rental yields 3.88%. It's a house, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2 cars. On the 31st of August, it was on at $1.199 million. Now it's on the 17th of September at $1.075 million. So there you have it. A quick rundown the Gold Coast, and I think you can see what we're seeing, which is that property price falls are continuing and certainly price reductions are accelerating. And of course, there are also quite a lot of properties now in some of those postcodes, all looking for buyers. So the buyer-seller ratio, I think, is changing. And of course, a lot of interstate activity and interest has dissipated. In fact, some interstate buyers from the last couple of years now looking to sell. Thanks to Cookie Boy for putting the information together, and I hope you found that useful. As always, do leave comments below if there are other areas that you'd like us to look at. We've already got quite a long list, but we're happy to add to the list. And a reminder again that if you'd like to learn more about what we do and look at the mortgage stress stuff in more detail, join us for our live show tomorrow evening on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Sydney time. I look forward to seeing you then. I'm Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. Many thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.